Welcome back to Books on the Mic, everyone. We're on chapter 19 and ready to dive into a classic.
A classic is right.
We're talking about Dale Carnegie's How to Win Friends and Influence People.
Oh, I love this one. This book has sold millions.
Millions, yeah. And it's still so relevant today. Why do you think that is?
You know, it's interesting. It actually came out of Carnegie's adult education courses.
Really?
He saw these patterns, these struggles people had in just like everyday interactions.
Yeah.
So he developed these principles based on his research.
Oh, wow.
And he interviewed tons of successful people, like huge names.
Like who?
Well, we're talking Thomas Edison,
Oh, wow.
Franklin D. Roosevelt,
Okay.
even Clark Gable.
Wow, that's a diverse group.
Yeah.
So, all right, let's get into it. Carnegie's first principle: don't criticize, condemn, or complain.
Straight to the point.
Yeah. And he starts with this story about Two-Gun Crowley, a gangster.
Yeah, I remember that one.
Even facing execution, Crowley blamed everyone but himself.
It's fascinating, isn't it? This like deep-seated need to protect our egos even when it's so clearly self-destructive.
Right. So we create these narratives to avoid facing the truth.
Exactly. It's a defense mechanism. But, you know, Carnegie contrasts this with President Lincoln.
Oh, interesting.
Lincoln was dealing with immense pressure during the Civil War, as you can imagine.
Oh, yeah.
And when General Meade missed a chance to capture Lee's army, Lincoln was furious.
Rightfully so.
He even drafted this scathing letter,
Wow.
but he never sent it.
He held back.
Yeah. Lincoln realized that tearing Meade down wouldn't help anyone.
It probably would have made things worse.
Exactly. By understanding Meade's perspective, acknowledging his efforts, Lincoln aimed for a more constructive approach.
So it's about choosing understanding over, like, harsh judgment.
Precisely. Because criticism, even when we feel it's justified, can backfire. It damages relationships and, just breeds resentment.
Makes sense. It reminds me of that story Father Forgets. That dad who was constantly criticizing his son.
Oh, yeah. Heartbreaking.
It really highlights how much our words matter, especially to the people we love.
Absolutely. And sometimes a little encouragement goes a lot further than pointing out flaws.
Totally. Okay, so moving on. This next principle is interesting. Carnegie says, arouse in the other person an eager want. What do you make of that?
It's brilliant. It's about tapping into what John Dewey called the desire to be important.
So understanding what motivates people, finding common ground.
Exactly. It's not about manipulation. It's about mutually beneficial outcomes. Remember the story about Stan Novak?
The one with the kindergarten.
Yeah, he wanted his son to go to kindergarten, but instead of forcing it, they made it exciting.
Highlighted the fun stuff.
The finger painting, the singing, the new friends. The kid couldn't wait.
Yeah, they turned it into a win-win. Carnegie also used this when he was negotiating lower rent for his lecture hall.
Oh, right. Instead of pleading his case, he focused on how the hotel would benefit from having the space available.
Appeal to their interests.
Smart.
Okay, now this one's huge. Listening. Carnegie says we should encourage others to talk about themselves.
And it's amazing how effective that is.
Yeah, I actually had this experience once. I was at a party.
Oh, tell me about it.
Well, I ended up talking to this botanist. Honestly, not my thing.
But you listened.
Yeah, I just asked questions, and he talked for ages, clearly passionate about it.
He loved it.
And later, people were complimenting me on being a great conversationalist. I barely said anything.
Isn't that funny?
Yeah.
But it makes sense. By giving him space to share, you made him feel valued, and you became the great conversationalist.
It wasn't about me trying to impress anyone.
Right. It was about genuine interest.
And speaking of great listeners, what about Sigmund Freud?
Oh, Freud. He was a master. People felt truly heard and understood by him, even when they struggled to express themselves.
Powerful, right?
Incredibly. Active listening builds trust, strengthens connections. It's fundamental.
All right, so we've covered avoiding criticism, understanding motivations, and listening.
The building blocks.
Yeah, and we're just getting started. I can't wait to see what else Carnegie has in store.
Me too. There's so much more to uncover.
We'll be back with more from How to Win Friends and Influence People after the break.
Stay tuned. Welcome back. Let's dive back into how to win friends and influence people.
All right, so we talked about listening, avoiding needless criticism.
Right.
What about persuasion, actually winning people over to your way of thinking?
Yeah, Carnegie has a whole section on that.
But I doubt it's about, like, forcing your opinions on others.
Oh, absolutely not. He actually says straight up, you can't win an argument.
Meaning what, exactly?
Even if you're logically right, you crush someone in a debate, you're probably just hurting their pride.
Creating resentment, more problems than you solve.
Exactly. It's lose-lose.
So then how do you actually get people to see your side?
Well, one thing Carnegie emphasizes is acknowledging their point of view.
Not necessarily agreeing.
No, but showing you understand, you respect where they're coming from.
I'm some more receptive.
Right. He tells this great story about a salesman, Patrick O'Hare.
What did he do?
Instead of trash-talking the competition, he'd praise their products.
Really?
Yeah, it showed honesty, confidence, made him more trustworthy to buyers.
Counterintuitive, but effective.
Exactly. And this ties into another principle, admitting your own mistakes.
Oh, that's a tough one.
It is. But Carnegie says owning up to being wrong builds trust, encourages others to do the same.
Leads by example.
Right. He uses the example of von Bülow, this German diplomat.
I don't know that one.
Well, he criticized the Kaiser, made a big mistake.
Oh.
But then he cleverly praised the Kaiser's judgment, turned it into a show of loyalty.
Saved his own skin.
Exactly. But this isn't just for high-stakes situations.
Everyday life, too.
Right. Carnegie tells this story about a father who admitted a mistake to his estranged son.
Yeah.
It led to reconciliation. Being vulnerable can be powerful.
For sure. Now, shifting gears a bit, Carnegie also talks about leadership. And it's not what you'd expect. It's less about giving orders, more about collaboration, empowerment.
Interesting.
Yeah, he talks about Owen D. Young, this big businessman.
Okay.
Rarely gave direct orders. He'd offer suggestions, let his team learn from experience.
Setting them up for success.
Right. And then there's Louis E. Laws, the warden at Sing Sing prison.
Tough place to be in charge.
You'd think so.
Nah.
But Laws actually consulted prisoners to improve conditions.
What?
Yeah. Gave the guards ownership, responsibility. Violence went down dramatically.
Wow, that's amazing. So different from the usual leadership image.
Totally. Both Young and Laws got incredible results by empowering people.
It shows what's possible when you create the right environment.
For sure. And Carnegie goes even further into all these techniques for influencing people, getting them excited about your ideas.
Like what?
Well, one of the simplest is remembering and using people's names.
Seems basic.
It is, but it shows respect, makes people feel seen.
He talks about Napoleon III, Jim Farley, both masters of that.
They knew a name's power.
Absolutely. It's a small thing, but it builds rapport.
Huge impact.
Oh.
And Carnegie also talks about making people feel important, but not through, like, fake flattery.
Genuine appreciation.
Right. He tells this story about Chaliapin, a famous opera singer.
Okay.
But apparently he was really insecure.
So how did they handle that?
His manager, Saul Hurak, wouldn't argue. He'd just reassure Chaliapin, coax him onto the stage every time.
Working with his personality, not against it.
Exactly. Understanding someone's psychology is key.
I like that. Meeting people where they are.
It makes such a difference. I wonder what other insights Carnegie has.
Me too. Let's keep digging.
We're back with more how to win friends and influence people.
Carnegie's got so much wisdom packed in here.
It's incredible. And in this last part, he focuses on appealing to, like, nobler motives.
Yep, tricks or manipulation.
Right. It's about recognizing the good in people, not taking advantage of them.
Makes sense. And it's not just theory. He opens with a story about himself.
Oh, yeah.
Trying to land this big contract with a hotel chain.
Supplying bread, right?
Yeah, but he wasn't getting anywhere. Then he shifted his approach.
What do you do?
He connected with the manager over their shared love of gardening.
Smart.
Yeah, it built rapport, common ground beyond just the business deal.
Appealed to something deeper.
Right. Making the hotel grounds beautiful, a nobler motive.
I like that. And this idea comes up again and again in the book.
Oh, for sure. It's about finding that shared value.
Like with John D. Rockefeller Jr. and those photographers.
The ones hounding his kids.
Yeah. Instead of getting angry, he appealed to their, like, paternal instincts.
Reminded them that too much publicity can hurt kids. Clever. He found that common ground.
Didn't force anything, just appeal to their sense of responsibility.
Right. And it worked.
It's amazing how effective that can be.
Yeah.
Not forcing your will,
Yeah.
but finding that shared goal.
Absolutely. Carnegie even talks about Cyrus Curtis, the founder of the Saturday Evening Post.
Oh, what about him?
He wanted top writers, but couldn't pay big salaries.
So what'd he do?
Offered to donate their fees to their favorite charities.
Wow. Appealed to their desire to do good.
Exactly. A win-win for everyone.
Smart.
Mm.
It makes me think about all the ways we can motivate people, not just through money or power.
Right. Tapping into those intrinsic motivations.
Making a difference, contributing to something bigger than themselves.
Exactly. Carnegie also talks about making people happy about doing the things you suggest.
Okay, how does that work?
Well, he uses the example of Theodore Roosevelt.
Oh, interesting.
Roosevelt was thinking about dropping out of the New York governor's race.
Really? Why?
There were questions about his residency,
Ah,
but then a senator publicly challenged his courage.
what do you do?
It lit a fire under him. He stayed in the race, proved his strength, went on to become president.
Wow. So a well-placed challenge can really motivate people.
For sure. And it's not just about personal ambition.
It can be used for good, too.
Right, like with Louis E. Laws at Sing Sing.
Oh, yeah, the prison warden.
Instead of giving orders, he challenged the guards to create a more humane environment.
Appealed to their professionalism, their desire to make a difference.
And it worked. Sing Sing became a model of reform.
Inspiring people to rise to the occasion.
Exactly. Giving them ownership, empowering them to contribute.
So powerful. And it all comes back to, like, respecting people, seeing their potential.
Right. And appreciating their efforts, not just through flattery, but genuine recognition.
Like that story about the discouraged music student.
The one with the teacher who focused on her strengths.
Yeah. Encouragement can go such a long way.
It's transformative. Helps people discover their talents, achieve their goals.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into how to win friends and influence people,
It's clear this book is about so much more than just, like, getting what you want.
it's about building real connections based on respect and understanding.
It's about seeing the good in others and inspiring them to be their best selves.
And those are timeless principles, relevant today, just like they were back then.
Human nature doesn't really change, does it?
Not really. We all want to feel valued, connected,
To make a difference. And Carnegie gives us the tools to do just that.
to build better relationships, communicate more effectively, and, yeah, even influence people in a positive way.
It's a powerful message.
So we hope you found this deep dive insightful and maybe even inspiring.
Maybe gave you some ideas to try out in your own life.
Thanks for joining us, and be sure to subscribe to Books on the Mic for more deep dives into fascinating books.
We'll see you next time.